Another edition of Talk of the Rock. We're sitting here in the press box at Memorial Stadium following yet another defeat for the Hoosiers. This one at the hands of a Northwestern team that was 2-5 coming into this game. Uh, Final score 59-38 in favor of Northwestern. Um, it's worth pointing out that ties for the highest offensive output by the Hoosiers all year, with South Carolina State, a game they won, and a game against a much lesser opponent. So that's something positive to take away. The obvious thing that you have to take away from this too, though, and that's not as fun, is the 59 points given up. A pretty horrendous defensive effort, any way you look at it, by the Hoosiers. As always, I'm joined by Alex McCarthy and Justin Albers. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on what we just saw?
Like you said, there was just very little defense played in this game on either side. Both teams came in allowing an average of over 30 points a game, and that's what we saw. We almost saw twice of 30 from Northwestern today. But again, like you said, the offense looked good again for Indiana. Trey Roberson still looked fairly poised at quarterback. He made a couple nice throws on the run with guys in his face. Couple throws that you wouldn't expect a true freshman to make. So IU fans have got to be excited about him, for the rest of the season, and who knows, maybe for the next few years for IU. And the rushing attack from the Hoosiers, they got over 300 yards. Both Roberson and Stephen Houston went over 100 yards. Houston went for 151, I think. Heck of a game from the running standpoint. They've gone over 200 yards rushing, I think, in the past 3 games against Big Ten opposition. So things are getting better for them on offense, and the defense, still a lot of questions, still a lot of things that haven't been answered for the IU defense.
Mm-hmm. Went over 200 yards in the last 3 games rushing, but they lost 59-7, 45-24, and 59-38. So, maybe they don't care if you run the ball so much as you don't throw it over their heads. But this one could have been worse. Like the Wisconsin game a couple weeks ago, they had 52 going into the fourth quarter, and they scored in the first 3 seconds on the very first play of the fourth quarter. They could have easily scored 70, 77. Who knows how many points they could have put up. But this IU defense, we talk about it every week, so it's kind of becoming the same old thing, but they just can't stop anybody right now, and it's looking far too easy for the opposition. Dan Perset and Kane Coulter, quarterback, made it look really, really easy today. Had a receiver with 4 touchdown catches. What's his name?
Drake Dunsmore.
And he was wide open.
I should know that. I've heard it enough today.
Yeah, we heard it all day today. 4 touchdown catches, tied the school record for Northwestern. And almost any time a player ties a school record against your team, it wasn't a good day. So,
but it's become to the point where the IU offense has to score on every possession, or else they're going to be quickly down by 2 or 3 scores and be out of the game. Mm-hmm. And you thought maybe
they did score on the first possession.
You thought maybe they could do that. They started moving on the second possession before Roberson's pick, and maybe that changes the game a little bit. But they kind of got that momentum back when they got a fumbled punt recovery and then scored on the next play. So, the offense. It's hard for me to say how good the offense looks because we've seen them get down by a lot of points early. So maybe the defense goes more mundane than it normally would, but you definitely think you have something there with Roberson and Houston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from today on offense is that it really is solidified that these are the guys who are the nucleus of this offense for the next couple of years. Roberson's a true freshman. Houston's just a sophomore, so you have at least 2 more seasons in all likelihood with these 2 guys together. And there's other youth on the offense as well. And so I think a really interesting thing that you have to consider right now, and I'm wondering if the coaches are having these same thoughts or will during the offseason, is how do you tweak the offense now that you sort of know who your guys are going to be for the next couple of years? And do you want to really rebuild the offense in a way the offensive playbook to fit their strengths. I mean, I think you can go in a lot of different directions with that, including arguably even throw some more option stuff in there. We saw a little of that today, and I think that might be a direction that maybe the team looks to go in the future because they now sort of seem to have the luxury of knowing who their guys are.
Yeah, like you said, the personnel is really complementing that option kind of style, and they looked okay on a few of the option plays that they ran. They obviously could use a little bit more tweaking and polishing, and that's just Roverman being a freshman, and having D'Angelo Roberts also played a little bit, true freshman at running back, and Houston's only a sophomore, like you said. So.
And I think the play that sort of epitomized that they are willing to look at the option as a possibility with this offense, but they just haven't fully committed to it yet, was actually with Roberson and then Shane Wynn taking the pitch, and had Wynn ended up bobbling the pitch a little bit, he sort of had to come to a stop to grab onto the ball, and he lost all his momentum and maybe had a yard on the play, but had he been able to smoothly get the ball and take off, I think there's a good chance that play would have gone for double-digit yardage. So you can really see the potential that this really young offense has to do some interesting things. And we're starting to really know who the personnel is going forward for the next few years. But it remains to be seen, do they change the offense this season to fit that, or do they do that in the offseason, or does it never happen and they keep running sort of what they have all season?
I mean, that's an interesting thought. And, I mean, it certainly could work the rest of this year. As we found out today, Deweese Wilson will likely have surgery on his knee. Won't know until an MRI is done, but he'll likely be done for the year. DeMarlo Belcher was suspended today, didn't play. We don't know how long he'll be out. So the receivers, you don't really have any big play threats. You have some fast guys like Wynn and Kofi Hughes that can do a multitude of things, so maybe you use them in the option game too. But the one thing I would have a concern with going forward with just saying you're going to be an option team and run it a lot with Roberson and Houston and Wynn and those guys, is this has been a school that's done really well in recruiting wide receivers. And if you start running the triple option and stuff of that nature, receivers are going to generally not tend to come here, especially the top ones. And, I mean, at the beginning of the season, you look and you see Belcher and Hughes and Deweese Wilson, you're like, wow, that's really the strength of this offense. And now, 9 weeks into the season, we're seeing them run for more yards than they pass. So, I mean, it's hard to figure this team out, and the triple option is definitely something with Roberson that they have at their I mean, they can do it if they want to, but I just feel like this is a school that's been really, really good at recruiting wide receivers, and you might not want to give that up to run the option exclusively.
Yeah, I think that if they were to revamp the offense, I would think they would look to keep some balance and still incorporate a passing attack to some extent. Maybe not go as completely to the triple option style offense as a Georgia Tech or a Navy or something like that.
Back to the old style Notre Dame type teams with Carlisle Holiday and Ryan Grant, Arnaz Battle at wide receiver.
Or some of those old Wishbone, Texas teams from the 60s and 70s too. So, I mean, the option definitely has a history, and I think we might be seeing in college football in general right now teams starting to think about it returning, but that's all speculation at this point. I mean, any changes to the offense for IU are speculation. What we know is Trey Roberson and Stephen Houston look like they're the nucleus of the future, and that was really evident today.
And the nucleus of the future on defense is not present at the moment.
Yeah, unlikely. I mean, there are a few bright spots, but I think we heard today that IU is starting as many more freshmen than any other team in Division 1A right now, and that's very telling. But so maybe we'll see these guys grow and develop and turn into a good team in the future, but we just don't know. But until next time, I'm Max McCombs, joined as always by Alex McCarthy and Justin Albers. Take care, everyone.